Okay, so my name is Etsuro Usman, and I'm gonna be talking about bullying. Let's begin. First of all, we need to understand what bullying is, and USA official anti-bullying website has some really good definition about this. It is told as it is defined as unwanted, aggressive behavior among school-age children that involves a real or perceived power imbalance. The behavior is repeated or has the potential to be repeated over time. Uh, from this definition, what we need to understand is that it says school-age children, and also the word power imbalance is really important, and that the behavior is repeated. These three things must be a part of the behavior in order to be considered bullying. Uh, we will get into that a little bit more in a little bit. Now, there are different types of bullying. There are other sub-definitions of bullying, but these are the main ones, which we can then divide into other subdivisions. First one is verbal bullying, name calling, threatening, and teasing. Social bullying is spreading rumors, leaving someone out of social activities. Physical bullying, any form of unwanted or violent physical gesture. Well, these are pretty easy to understand. First one being verbal bullying, when someone calls you names or that says that you are ugly or stuff like that. Social bullying is a little bit more complicated, but let's just say that it's when a group of people decides to pick on you and the counter effects that it has. Leaving you out of activities will be the easiest example. We can see in the picture that there are a bunch of girls looking at something what appears to be a tablet, and there's another girl that is left out of the group. Verbal bullying will be the one where the girl is covering her eyes and the other ones are pointing at her. And physical bullying will be the image of the guy who is pushing the other guy at the lockers, where we can see he's touching him and we can see that he's physical harassing him. Cyberbullying will be a subdivision of what I think is verbal bullying. But yeah, it's there, and we can understand the word cyberbullying by any sort of harassment via internet, let it be Facebook or Twitter or any form of social website. How common is bullying? I gathered some facts about bullying. We can read them. The American Justice Department bullying statistics show that one out of every 4 kids will be bullied sometime throughout their adolescence. About 35% of kids have been threatened online. According to statistics reported by ABC News, nearly 30% of students are either bullies or victims of bullying, and 160,000 kids stay home from school every day because of fear of bullying. Well, first I would like to say that 1 out of 4 kids, these statistics are in the United States, but it gives us some sort of insight about how common bullying is generally. And even if it's only in the USA, 1 out of 4 kids is a lot. It's 25% of all kids, which is a lot. I shall admit that. I'm a little bit skeptical of cyberbullying, since I live all my life on a computer and I will say you can just close the computer, but I guess it is a problem for some people. And here in the image we can see that according to nobullying.com, which is a UCLA psychology study, a study from 2014 says that 83% girls and 79% boys at school age has reported being bullied either in school or online. And 40% of boys who were identified as bullies in middle and high school continue a trend of abuse and violence by the age of 30, which we will touch more in a little bit, as everyone involved in bullying, even the bystanders, have some sort of effect from this. Okay, now, is it dangerous? Of course, it is dangerous, but uh, I I I choose to stay at to only see the facts in order to not go away with my opinion. Even though I just mentioned my opinion a little while ago, but just ignore it. Bully victims are between 2 to 9 times more likely to consider suicide than non-victims, according to studies by Yale University. Suicide is the third leading cause of death among young people, resulting in about 4,400 deaths per year, according to the CDC. For every suicide among young people, there are at least 100 suicide attempts. Over 14% of high school students have considered suicide, and almost 7% have attempted it. And now we can see in the image some other statistics. Suicide is the third leading cause of death among young people, which is very alarming regarding that, well, taking in fact that bully victims are more likely to consider it. So this number can rise. There are at least 100 attempts for every suicide among young people, which is what I just said. Over 14% of high school students have considered suicide, 7% have attempted it. Same that I just said. 1 out of 20 students have seen another student with a gun in school, and we need to remind ourselves that the United States have a very liberal law regarding weapons, especially guns, which is not that weird to see another one with a gun, but it will be kind of alarming to see a schoolmate with a gun inside the school, because of all the shootouts that have been going on at schools in the United States lately. But yeah, it is sort of an after effect of bullying in general. 4,400 bully-related deaths every 7 minutes a child is bullied. We can see there, it kind of cut out the image, but adult intervention is 11%, peer intervention is 4%, and no intervention at all is 85%. It's a lot. That's the reason that there are so many bullying cases, and that this keeps happening, because most people don't even recognize it as bullying. Since this has been happening a long time ago, even my parents say that, and the word bullying did not existed in that time. But we have grown as a society, and the and this sort of thing needs to be addressed in order to grow even more. Okay, so let me continue. This is what I've been saying about effects of people who been part of bullying. First, I will acknowledge the effects of people who are bullied. It's about school age people who are bullied. Depression and anxiety, increased feelings of sadness and loneliness, changes in sleep and eating patterns, and loss of interest in activities they used to enjoy. These issues may persist into adulthood. Health complaints, decreased academic achievement, GPA and standardized test scores, and school participation. They are more likely to miss, skip, or drop out of school. Here on the right, we can see an image I got from anxiety.org, which is an official website, and it mentions the point where depression and anxiety kind of comes together, which if you think about it, it's kind of worrying that people so young, or people even younger than me, or a year older than me, or even older. The person's head is not nice. But what I'm trying to say is that uh, that other person can cause this into another one. It's not nice. It's not good at all. And the fact that we do not recognize it as a problem is still, even though a lot of time have passed since we first start talking about bullying in, let's say, Mexico. Well, it's kind of sad. Uh, and a lot of problems for people who have been bullied can continue to their adulthood, which is something kind of common that I have read in anti-bullying websites from the United States. And now let's acknowledge the effects on kids who bully others. Uh, well, the bullies, as we may say. Uh, they abuse alcohol and other drugs in adolescence and as adults, engage in early sexual activity, have criminal convictions and traffic citations as adults, be abusive toward their romantic partners, spouses, or children as adults. Wait, can I cut out the image? But it is a chart pie from drug and violent behavior, since, well, what it mentions here is aggressive behavior, abusive toward the romantic partners, criminal convictions, and drug and alcohol abuse, which are two key patterns to violence. And I would like to say that most of this type of personality or behavior is caused by either by parents who did not care about their children, or parents who had problems in their life, and well, that the result of that will be in a child with no one to watch over them. So at first it will start as a way to gain attention, and that the kid will feel nice by doing it, and stuff. That's something for later, and which I will not talk about. Uh, but yeah, kids who bully others tend to keep the aggressive behavior until they are older or adults. And now, what I talked about is bystanders, kids who witness bullying. The fact of witnessing bullying means that we cannot believe in a like like it is normal. We can see in the news that a lot of bad stuff happens in around the world, and if kids less than 15 years old can see this in their school, kids who pick on each other and who fight and who uh, tells names to each other and things like that, that will just drop their morals. And here we can see have increased use of tobacco, alcohol, or other drugs, have increased mental health problems, including depression and anxiety, which I already talked about, and miss or skip school for the reason I just said. We can say that the increased use of tobacco, alcohol, or other drugs are kind of uh, normal behavior in teenagers, but we can still take it account because, well, the use of drugs in general means not a healthy state of mind. So we can still talk about it as a reason for drug abuse, or even drug use. It can be a reason. You know, we have talked about the problem and the effects on people, but now how can we prevent it? We can see the image behind it was a congress or some sort of conference about preventing bullying in the United States school image that I just got from the internet. Uh, but I will read what I put in the presentation. Conduct assessments in your school to determine how often bullying occurs, where it happens, how students and adults intervene, and whether your prevention efforts are working. Build bullying prevention material into the curriculum and school activities. Train teachers and staff on the school's rules and policies. Give them the skills to intervene consistently and appropriately. And I cannot remark this enough, but engage parents and youth. Uh, the conduct assessments means to acknowledge the problem as a problem, uh, and it these three go together. You cannot do one without the other, because stopping bullying at all means a healthy environment at school and with the parents. You will need the help of the parents and of the teachers, uh, because well, teachers need to watch kids at school and parents need to watch their kids at home. Uh, if you leave a kid alone, completely alone or unwatched in either one of these two, there still exists the possibility of aggressive behavior, because it is the way we are. People like to pick on each other, and that's how it is. Especially, I will say, Mexicans. It is a cultural pattern that we pick on each other as a joke. Uh, well, it is still not nice. Uh, Teachers need to be trained how to assess these problems correctly, because I've seen cases when I was in elementary school where teachers will just come in bragging like they knew all, and just punish kids without not knowing what happened. So that makes more damage to the person, and it's not good. Teachers need to put a little bit effort in this. And what I think that is the most important thing is for parents to talk about this with their children. Uh, Parents have the most power in their children's life. If a parent can assess this problem and raise their child correctly with morals and values, there will be no bullying at all. And even if the kid is bullied, if he's raised correctly, or 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 has learned things through their life, bullying will not affect them. But 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 yeah, that's pretty much it. We we need kids that are emotionally strong and things like this. I will continue. Now, my conclusion would be that bullying is still affecting people around the world. Even in 2017, we have made a lot of. We have grown a lot as people, as persons around the world, but we need to do it more. Lately, we can see in the news the LGBT community having problems about things still with other children picking on them for the way they feel. I mean, uh, this is still not as acceptable, because LGBT community has only a little bit of time active and mentioned, but we should not pick on each other. We should not pick other people aggressively. Uh, the most efficient way to stop bullying is for parents to raise their children correctly. That's what I talked about before. Uh, and even sometimes, I do not like to say this, but a little bit of trauma for children is not that bad, at least in my opinion. Uh, Trauma makes people grow stronger, and if a little bit of trauma happens and parents can assess the problem and teach their children how that will not affect them, it will teach them a valuable lesson when they are adults. Uh, I'm just saying my opinion. I did not wanted to say that, but I feel like I had to. And lastly, in most cases of bullying, parents play a major role and can even be the cause of the harassment. That's what I talked about. If you leave a child on watch, it will want attention, and it will do. This is a natural way for children to raise the attention of others by causing problems. or harming themselves, but parents play a really important role in this. Uh, so I think we are going the right way, and that we will continue growing. But we still need to acknowledge the problem as it is even more. And here's my biography, and it will be pretty much it. Thank you, teacher.